I'm Jono Buchanan, and in this video we're going to look at pre- and post-fader auxiliaries, what they are and how they can be used creatively to create some interesting developments in a production. Before we go any further, let's just listen to this little track that I've prepared. Okay, so the part that we're going to focus on within this video is this airy picks sound, this arpeggiation part that I recorded, which sounds really high and dry and boring. And you can sort of see that what I've done is to create a little bit of shape to this track where we've got the kind of 8-bar introduction, where the sort of beat loop is a little bit filtered, a little bit processed, kind of giving us the introduction, and then we get into the main section where the bass comes in as well. And what I want to do is to create an effect for the kind of airy picks sound, which somehow reflects that change as the track moves from one part to another. Now, obviously, there are lots of ways I could do that from a production point of view. I could also filter this sound, or I could turn its volume down, or I could add delay to it. There are all sorts of creative effects that I could use. But what I want to do is to experiment with reverb in particular, and to look at a couple of ways in which we could apply reverb to this sound using these two different types of auxiliary, pre and post fade. So what exactly do they mean? Well, in order to understand that, let's set up a regular reverb treatment and see exactly what happens when we do that. I'm going to solo this sound, so we're just focusing on it here. And what I'm going to do is to set up a chromaverb treatment on bus number 2, which is going to allow us to create a reverb treatment for this sound. So I'm just going to come down to reverbs, come and find chromaverb, and what I want to do is to make something quite spacey and quite long. So I'm going to use this airy algorithm here. I'm going to massively increase the decay time, maybe up even as far as something like 7.5 seconds, and we're just going to hear how that sounds. I am also going to just back down the pre-delay amount to 0 milliseconds, and we'll come back to why I want to do that in just a little while. So I'm going to press play, and we should hear this lovely lush reverb being added to this sound. And of course, at the moment, we're just using a regular auxiliary, and I'll come back to exactly what I mean by that in just a moment. This is the sound with reverb. M83, eat your heart out. Okay, so what we've now got is this huge treatment for this sound, and it works in exactly the same way that we'd expect. Now, when we set up auxiliaries, we know that we've got a little dial here which allows us to control the amount of send level. In other words, if I want to have a lot of dry signal and a little bit less reverb, what I can do is to control effectively this volume dial from this sound across to the reverb. In other words, how much do I want to send this dry sound to the reverb? That's why we call it a send level. And if I back that down, we'll get less reverb because we're sending less of the signal from a level perspective to that reverb. And sure enough, now we're hearing more of the dry signal and less of the reverb. So we've got this relationship here. But what we've also got is a relationship between volume and reverb. So in other words, if I change the volume of this sound, the amount of reverb will change too. In other words, the send to the reverb happens after the volume fader. Now this introduces this word post and pre. This regular sort of send that we set up within Logic is what's called a post-fade send. In other words, it's dependent on the fader level. If I drop the fader level, then the reverb signal drops as well because the volume signal is controlled by the fader. Okay, a sort of classic fade out. And of course, That makes sense. If you think about it, if you went to go and hear someone singing in a cathedral, you wouldn't expect, as they got quieter, for the reverb to stay at the same level. Effectively, the reverb is being triggered by their performance, and so therefore, of course, we want that direct relationship from a volume perspective. Or do we? Because actually, if we were to undo that and change the relationship between the dry sound and the wet sound by changing the status of the auxiliary send, we can actually achieve some really interesting effects. Now, if I come back to my little auxiliary send for a moment, what I can see is that at the moment we're using, by default, what's called a post-fader treatment. We're also using a post-pan treatment, which basically means it's also happening after the pan dial. The pan dial is being used as well. So in other words, the reverb signal is dependent on where my pan position is too. We'll come back to that in another video at another stage. But what I'm going to do now is to change the status of this fader to a pre-fade. And what that is actually going to do is to swap the side of where the effect is. It's a really useful way in Logic of being able to see what's pre-fade and what's post. The pre-fader, as you'd expect, would be to the left because it's pre, and the post-fader is on the right. Makes sense. So what happens now? Well, if I drop the level and I press play, no longer is this reverb treatment dependent on the volume fader, it's exclusively dependent on the send level. So if I press play now, we're not going to hear any of the dry sound because its fader is at 0, but we are going to hear the reverb. Now, we also need to be careful because it could be that our reverb treatment contains some dry signal. Now, it doesn't in this particular case, but if you're setting up this effect, just make sure that from a dry and wet perspective, your Chromaverb plugin, or if you're using Space Designer or any reverb treatment you want, make sure that the dry level is absolutely at 0. Otherwise, you will continue to hear some of that dry sound. So what I've now got is this kind of wash, this big reverby wash. It sounds like this sound is miles away. And of course, what I could do from a production perspective now would be to introduce my dry sound by pushing the fader up slowly, introducing the amount of dry signal so it kind of comes in and takes over from the reverb. Now, I'm actually going to do that using automation. I'm going to open up the automation lane, and what I'm going to do is to create a little ramp up here whereby my volume level is starting at 0, and from about halfway through the introduction section, what I'm going to do is to introduce volume until the volume fader is all the way up at 0. And slowly now what will happen is that the volume level of the dry sound will creep in under the rest of the production. I think it's time to bring the rest of that back in as well, just so we can begin to shape how the introduction of this is going to work. Okay, and that's working really nicely. Now, what if at that moment where everything else begins to come in, I want to drop the reverb level? How could I do that? Well, there are kind of two ways I could do that. I could either turn down the send level to the reverb, so from that point onwards, I'm sending less of the signal to the reverb, or of course, I could automate the return level of the reverb itself. So in other words, if I turn down the reverb, of course, it will be less loud, and either of those things could work. So let's experiment with one or the other. What I could do would be to put the auxiliary, this reverb, in fact, let's just label it reverb so we can see exactly what it is. We know what it is. Let's just call that reverb. I could put this channel into latch mode, and what I can then do would be just to record a little bit of volume automation at the point where I want to turn the volume down, and it will be added to the track. So when I press stop, I can see that the reverb is added to my project. And if I open up the automation lane for volume, so I can see that really clearly, I can see the volume as I've just recorded it. Of course, it's pretty easy for me now just to click anywhere here to create a point and just to kind of manage that moment. So we get the volume drop that we want around this area. And you can see that I'm just putting a little sort of 4 dB offset. So I've still got control over the amount of reverb, and I'm managing that by changing the return level volume. But the crucial thing, and the thing that we've looked at the most within this video, is this idea of pre and post fade auxiliaries. Post fade means after the fader, and normally that's what auxiliaries are. We want this relationship between the fader level and the reverb or the auxiliary effects that we're adding to that. In other words, if we turn a sound down, its reverb level drops proportionately. But if we switch that across to a pre-fade, then effectively the send level to an auxiliary is completely independent of the volume dial. And that allows us to achieve effects like this, where we can creatively bring a dry sound in underneath a wet one.